17 Emergency Medicine Physician Common Job Interview Questions and Professional Answers. Hey everyone! Welcome back to Career Stimuli. I'm Jabulo, and I'm here to help you level up and land the career of your dreams. Today, we're diving into a must-watch topic, 17 Common Emergency Medicine Physician Job Interview Questions and Professional Answers that can truly set you apart. In the high-stakes world of emergency medicine, it's not just about your clinical skills. It's about how you communicate, how you lead, and how you shine under pressure. In this video, you'll hear the most common interview questions plus polished, professional answers that hiring teams love. So whether you're fresh out of residency, a seasoned doc ready for your next big move, or just want to sharpen your skills, this video is for you. Get ready to walk into your interview with clarity, confidence, and conviction. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Career Stimuli, like this video, comment your favorite tip, share with someone who needs it, and hit that notification bell so you never miss career-boosting content like this. Alright, let's get started. So, emergency medicine physician job interview question number 1. Are you comfortable working in a fast-paced environment? Analyzing a question. Emergency medicine is a fast-paced specialty that requires physicians to be able to make quick decisions. Employers ask this question to see if you are comfortable working in such an environment and how well you can handle stress. In your answer, explain why you feel you would be good at working in a high-pressure situation. Share examples of times when you have worked under pressure before. Recommended example answer. I am very comfortable working in a fast-paced environment because I thrive on being busy. Throughout my career as an emergency medicine physician, I have always been the doctor who gets things done quickly. When patients come into the ER, they want to get their treatment as soon as possible. I know that I can provide them with the care they need quickly so they can leave the hospital sooner. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 2. What are some of the most important skills for an emergency physician? Analyzing a question. This question can help interviewers understand what you value in your career and how it has helped you succeed. When answering this question, consider the skills that are most important to you as a physician and highlight those. Recommended example answer. The 2 most important skills for an emergency physician are critical thinking and communication. In my experience, these skills have been essential to helping me make quick decisions and communicate with patients and other medical professionals. I also find that having strong interpersonal skills is helpful because I often work with many different people during a shift. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 3. How would you manage a patient who is refusing treatment? Analyzing a question. This question can help interviewers assess your interpersonal skills and ability to manage challenging situations. In your answer, try to highlight your problem-solving abilities and how you use them to resolve conflict with patients. Recommended example answer. In my experience, I've had a few patients who refused treatment because they didn't want to take their medications or follow up care instructions. When this happens, I first try to understand why the patient is refusing treatment. Sometimes it's because they don't believe they're sick, but other times it's because they're worried about side effects from medication. If I can address these concerns, I usually find that the patient will agree to treatment. However, if they still refuse after I've addressed their concerns, I have no choice but to call security. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 4. What is your process for handling a high volume of patients? Analyzing a question. Working in an emergency room can be a high-pressure environment. Employers ask this question to make sure you have the skills and experience needed to handle a busy shift. In your answer, explain how you stay organized and prioritize tasks. Share some strategies that help you manage stress under these conditions. Recommended example answer. In my previous role as an ER physician, I often had to work on very busy nights. To prepare for these shifts, I would spend time each day prioritizing my tasks. This helped me get through my long days without feeling overwhelmed. I also learned to delegate responsibilities when possible so I could focus on more complex cases. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 5. Provide an example of a time when you had to manage a patient with a difficult. Analyzing a question. This question can help interviewers understand how you interact with patients and their families. It can also show them that you have experience working in a team environment. When answering this question, it can be helpful to mention the specific steps you took to manage the situation. Recommended example answer. I once had a patient who was experiencing chest pains. He told me he didn't want any of his family members present during his examination. I explained to him that we always need at least one person present for medical procedures. However, I offered to allow his wife into the room while he underwent testing. She agreed, and they both seemed happy with the compromise. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 6. If a patient comes in with a symptom you've never seen before, how would you approach the situation? Analyzing a question. This question is a great way to test your critical thinking skills and ability to research. It also shows the interviewer that you are willing to ask for help when needed. In your answer, try to show that you can use your problem-solving skills to find an effective solution. Recommended example answer. I would first do my best to diagnose the symptom based on what I know about medicine. If I am unable to come up with a diagnosis, I would call in another physician or medical professional who may have more experience than me. I would then explain the symptoms to them and see if they could provide any insight. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 7. What would you do if you suspected a colleague was making mistakes while treating patients? Analyzing a question. This question can help interviewers assess your ability to work as part of a team. It also helps them understand how you would handle conflict with colleagues. In your answer, try to show that you value teamwork and collaboration. You should also demonstrate that you are willing to speak up when necessary. Recommended example answer. I would first approach my colleague privately to discuss the situation. I would explain why I think they made a mistake and ask for their thoughts on the matter. If I still felt like there was an issue after our conversation, I would bring it to the attention of my supervisor or hospital leadership. I believe it's important to address these situations before they become more serious. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 8. How well do you think you can adapt to the needs of a changing patient population? Analyzing a question. As a physician, you will often be the first person to treat patients who are experiencing medical emergencies. The interviewer may ask this question to assess your ability to adapt to changing patient populations and needs. Use examples from previous experience in which you had to quickly learn new information or skills to help patients. Recommended example answer. In my last position as an emergency medicine physician, I worked with a large population of senior citizens. As our community grew, so did the number of younger residents. This meant that many of my patients were unfamiliar with common symptoms and treatments for their conditions. I found it helpful to create pamphlets and online resources for both parents and grandparents to reference when they came into the ER. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 9. Do you have any experience with emergency response systems? Analyzing a question. This question can help interviewers understand your experience with the emergency response system in your community. If you have worked with a local 911 call center, for example, you can share what types of calls you responded to and how you helped patients. Recommended example answer. I've never worked with a 911 call center, but I do volunteer at my local hospital's emergency room on weekends. During my time there, I've learned that it's important to be prepared for any type of situation. For instance, one night I was working alone when we received multiple calls about an accident involving a car versus a deer. We had to triage all of the patients and make sure they were stable before sending them to other hospitals or care facilities. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 10. When is it appropriate to admit a patient to the hospital? Analyzing a question. This question can help interviewers determine your knowledge of the hospital admission process. When answering, it can be helpful to mention a specific situation in which you admitted a patient and how that helped them receive better care. Recommended example answer. When I am evaluating whether or not to admit a patient, I consider their symptoms, vital signs, and overall health history. If a patient is experiencing severe pain, has abnormal vital signs, or has an illness that could worsen if left untreated, then I will usually recommend they stay overnight for further treatment. This allows me to monitor their condition more closely and ensure they are receiving the best possible care. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 11. We want to improve our communication with patients. Tell me about a strategy you would use to accomplish this. Analyzing a question. This question is an opportunity to show your interpersonal skills and ability to work with a team. When answering this question, it can be helpful to describe how you would implement the strategy and what the results were. Recommended example answer. I think one of the most important aspects of communication is being able to listen to patients. I have found that when I take time to really hear what my patients are saying, they feel more comfortable talking about their concerns. In addition, listening helps me understand their medical history better so I can provide them with the best care possible. In my last position, I noticed that some patients felt like we weren't taking enough time to listen to them. So, I started holding weekly meetings with all of our emergency medicine physicians to discuss patient satisfaction surveys. We discussed ways we could improve our communication with patients and implemented several strategies over the next 6 months. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 12. Describe your process for performing an autopsy. Analyzing a question. The interviewer may ask this question to assess your ability to work independently and make decisions. Use your answer to highlight your critical thinking skills, communication abilities, and attention to detail. Recommended example answer. I start by reviewing the patient's medical history and any notes from previous physicians or family members. I then perform a physical examination of the body, including taking samples for testing. After that, I document my findings in an autopsy report and discuss them with other physicians if necessary. In my experience, performing autopsies is one of the most challenging aspects of emergency medicine, but it also allows me to practice my critical thinking and communication skills. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 13. What makes you stand out from other emergency physicians? Analyzing a question. Employers ask this question to learn more about your unique qualities and how they can benefit their facility. When answering, it's important to highlight a skill or quality that you feel makes you an asset to the team. You may also want to mention something that you're passionate about doing in your career. Recommended example answer. I think what makes me stand out from other emergency physicians is my ability to communicate with patients. I've always been good at listening to people and helping them understand medical jargon. In previous positions, I've noticed that many of my colleagues have trouble explaining things clearly to patients. I'm happy to take on that role if needed. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 14. Which medical software programs are you familiar with using? Analyzing a question. The interviewer may ask this question to determine your level of comfort using the software programs they use in their facility. If you are not familiar with any, consider researching which ones the hospital uses and learn about them before your interview. Recommended example answer. I am very comfortable using Epicare, Meditech, and Cerner. I have used all 3 systems at my previous job, where we implemented Cerner for our electronic medical record system. I also worked extensively with Epicare when I was a resident because it is one of the most commonly used emergency medicine software programs. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 15. What do you think is the most important aspect of after-death care? Analyzing a question. This question is an opportunity to show your knowledge of emergency medicine and how you apply it in the field. After-death care is a specialized area of emergency medicine that requires specific skills, so interviewers may ask this question to see if you have those skills. In your answer, explain what you think about after-death care and why you feel that way. Recommended example answer. After-death care is one of the most important aspects of emergency medicine because it's when we can make sure our patients are comfortable and their families are informed. I believe it's essential to be compassionate during this time and to provide reassurance to everyone involved. It's also important to ensure that all medical records are accurate and up to date. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 16. How often do you perform physical exams on your patients? Analyzing a question. This question can help interviewers understand your experience with physical exams and how often you perform them. If the facility has a specific way of performing physical exams, it can be helpful to know this information before the interview so that you can prepare for any questions about the process. Recommended example answer. I perform physical exams on my patients at least once every shift I work. In my previous position, we performed physical exams on all patients who were admitted to the hospital or had an emergency visit. We also performed physical exams on patients who came in with complaints such as chest pain or abdominal pain. Emergency medicine physician job interview question number 17. There is a new outbreak in the community. How would you approach this as an emergency physician? Analyzing a question. This question is a great way to test your problem-solving skills and ability to work with others. When answering this question, it can be helpful to describe the steps you would take to address the outbreak and how you would communicate with other medical professionals to ensure everyone was on the same page. Recommended example answer. I would first assess the situation by gathering as much information about the outbreak as possible. I would then meet with my team of physicians and nurses to discuss our plan of action. We would decide whether or not we needed to quarantine patients, and if so, who would need to be quarantined. After making these decisions, I would inform the community through local news outlets. And there you have it, 17 of the most common emergency medicine physician interview questions, along with the professional answers that can help you stand out and succeed. Remember, every interview is more than just answering questions. It's your opportunity to showcase your passion, your expertise, and your readiness to save lives and lead with excellence. Keep preparing, stay confident, and trust in the years of hard work that brought you to this moment. You've got everything it takes to thrive. If you found this video helpful, make sure you like, comment, and share it with others preparing for their next big opportunity. Subscribe to Career Stimuli and hit the notification bell so you never miss another powerful career prep session with me, Jabulo. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, your future is built by the actions you take today. Keep going, keep growing, and keep stimulating your career.